My parents planned a luxury vacation and trapped me with the bill, so I cut them off and took legal action. For years, I ignored the warning signs. My parents had always been reckless with money, constantly borrowing and never repaying. I watched my sister cut ties with them after they tried to pressure her into using her home equity to bail them out of yet another failed financial endeavor. I should have followed her lead, but I wanted to believe they could change. I wanted to believe they meant it when they said they wanted a fresh start. That belief cost me dearly. I'm 34, a software engineer, and I live in Toronto. I've worked hard to build a stable career and financial independence. My parents, on the other hand, never saw money as something to be managed responsibly. It was something to be spent, borrowed, or manipulated out of someone else. For years, they relied on me for financial assistance, sometimes small amounts, sometimes thousands. Every time I told myself it would be the last, but they always found a way back in. Last August, they called with what seemed like exciting news. It was their 40th wedding anniversary, and they wanted to celebrate with a family vacation. They had been saving for years, they said, and they had put aside over $95,000 specifically for this trip. My father even showed me a bank statement with the amount. The plan was to spend 2 weeks in an all-inclusive luxury resort in the Maldives. My sister refused the invitation outright, unwilling to entertain their manipulations again. That should have been my first red flag. But I let my guard down, believing that maybe this time was different. My parents handled all the bookings. My father insisted on using his credit card, claiming he wanted to surprise us with an upgraded experience. I didn't question it. After all, they had been talking about this trip for months. It seemed legitimate. When we arrived at the resort, I expected a seamless check-in, but the front desk couldn't find our reservation under my father's name. After some back and forth, it was discovered that the entire booking was under mine. I felt a moment of unease, but my father quickly brushed it off. He claimed it was just part of the surprise, something about making sure I got the best room options. I was exhausted from the long journey, so I let it slide. The next morning, I woke up to multiple missed calls from my bank and credit card company. My stomach tightened as I checked my account. A charge of $147,000 had been processed the day before, completely maxing out my credit limit. I stared at the numbers in disbelief. My parents had promised to pay. So why was the entire vacation charged to my account? A call to my credit card provider confirmed the worst. The booking had been made online using my card details, billing address, and even the security questions. It hit me like a freight train. My parents had stolen my financial information. My mind raced back to the last time they stayed at my apartment a few months prior. My mother had insisted on tidying up my home office while I was at work. That must have been when she found my old statements. Then, a day before our departure, my father had asked to borrow my laptop, claiming his phone wasn't working properly. He must have accessed my saved passwords. Fury boiled inside me as I stormed downstairs to confront them. They were at the hotel restaurant, enjoying breakfast like nothing had happened. I placed my phone on the table, showing them the charge notification, demanding an explanation. My mother barely flinched. With a saccharine smile, she said, "Oh, honey, we thought you understood. When we said we were treating the family, we meant we were arranging it." I felt my face flush. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. My father chimed in with some excuse about needing to keep their savings for other expenses. Expenses more important than paying for the trip they had claimed to be funding. He waved off my frustration, saying I could afford it since I was doing well financially. My mother added that as their child, it was my duty to support them. Their audacity left me speechless. I turned to my aunt, who had come along as part of the vacation. She looked away, refusing to meet my eyes. That's when I realized she had known about this plan all along. They had promised her an all-expenses-paid vacation, at my expense. I needed to act fast. I went straight to the front desk and had the charges split. I informed them that I would only be paying for my own room, and that my parents and aunt would need to cover their own accommodations. The look on their faces when they discovered their room keys no longer worked was priceless. My mother wailed dramatically in the lobby, while my father raged about my betrayal. My aunt tried to guilt-trip me, saying it was unthinkable for a son to do this to his parents. I stood firm. When they realized I wasn't going to budge, they attempted to manipulate me again. My father suggested that I set up a payment plan for the trip. My aunt, ever the enabler, told me I should feel honored to do this for them. I refused to entertain their nonsense. This wasn't about a vacation. It was about financial abuse. That night they tried another tactic. They called my sister, telling her I was having a mental breakdown and needed intervention. Then they went to hotel management, claiming I was a danger to myself and asking for access to my room. Fortunately, I had already warned the front desk about their antics. Security escorted them off the premises when they refused to pay or leave. I thought that was the end of it, but I underestimated them. Over the next few weeks, they launched a full-scale smear campaign. They contacted my workplace, claiming I had stolen their retirement funds. They flooded social media with posts about how I had tricked them into a vacation and abandoned them. They even showed up at my apartment telling my neighbors that I was withholding their medication and Social Security benefits, lies meant to ruin my reputation. When I ignored them, they escalated further. My mother attempted to stage a dramatic scene in front of my apartment, wailing that I was committing elder abuse, while my father recorded the encounter. That was the breaking point. I documented everything. I installed cameras, saved every voicemail, screenshot every harassing post, and recorded every interaction. Then, I filed a police report. The officer who took my statement advised me to seek a restraining order. My sister helped me find a lawyer specializing in fraud and harassment cases. We sent them a cease and desist letter, but they ignored it. Instead, they doubled down, calling my workplace dozens of times and even filing a false claim with Adult Protective Services. That's when I took legal action. With overwhelming evidence, I applied for a temporary restraining order. When the court date arrived for the permanent order, my parents showed up with a lawyer, expecting to talk their way out of it. Their plan backfired spectacularly. My lawyer presented a chronological timeline of their actions, from the credit card fraud to the false APS report. The judge was particularly interested in their blatant admission that they had a right to my financial information simply because they were my parents. The restraining order was granted for 3 years. They are now prohibited from coming within 100 yards of my home, workplace, or person. They cannot contact me directly or through third parties. The judge even warned them that their actions could warrant criminal charges. My credit card company, with the police report and court documents in hand, reversed the charges and helped me lock down my financial security. As for my parents, they're still playing the victim, telling distant relatives that I manipulated the legal system to abandon them. My sister, who has been my unwavering support, just laughs whenever she hears their latest sob story. We now meet weekly, finally able to talk about our childhood without fear of manipulation. Looking back, I see this vacation for what it was: a calculated attempt to trap me with debt. It was never about celebrating their anniversary. It was about control. When they realized I wouldn't comply, they tried to destroy my life. But I'm no longer that person who bends under guilt and obligation. I have boundaries now, and I intend to keep them,